would like to finally get to some of the questions that have been coming in from the participants who are listening in. And maybe I could turn it back to Pippa, who I know has been tracking these, and maybe we can triage some of the most critical questions that have come in and reserve some time now to respond to them. So could I turn it over to you, Pippa, and maybe you could cherry pick a few of the ones that started coming in from folks on East Meets West and David, and finally Robert's presentations.
I see a lot of the questions that the speakers have been trying to answer in the chat, so thank you for that. Maybe just a couple of specific questions I put from Lucy and Theodoria in the chat from Min Chao, which perhaps you can answer in there. I would like to come to Gautam Arabushan. You've asked quite a few questions, and many of the questions you asked weren't necessarily clarifying questions, but kind of overlapped a little bit. You asked Min Chao, was there any study of health impacts on your intervention? And
we haven't really done any health impact on sanitation. We did it on the water supply, but that's because it requires a lot of money and, in order to do a robust result. And on water supply, we did it together with University of North Carolina. So what I'm saying, if you want to do a health impact, you need to work with academic institution. As an NGO ourselves, we just don't have the kind of resources nor the capability to do that long-term health impact. So that's the first answer. The second question is that how is it better than the conventional project? As David mentioned, that we're doing both conventional, traditional inputs and output based. And from our side, we definitely go out for output based simply because number one is the cost efficiency of it, and we use this a lot in order to convince the government itself, because in Vietnam the government itself also does a lot of their own program, and so we use that in order to convince them to be more cost effective. And secondly, it's if you are very, very efficient, you're clever, as somebody mentioned, you can make some resources, and you can use that resources in order to extend to a number more of people than the target that was set for you. So we still have not yet completed sanitation projects, so we cannot really decide that how we're going to use the resource we have made from OBA in order to extend further. We like it very much because it really forces us to innovate, to be efficient, and then we have the flexibility and freedom in order to impact further without prodding from the donors.
I think one of the, I might skip on the very detailed questions and encourage that we could maybe perhaps pick those up on the Susanna forum. I'll share the link at the end of the webinar. One of Lucy's later questions was, it would be good to get the other speakers to respond to Robert's points about upwards and downwards accountability and about going for the low-hanging fruits. I think we've had some conversation about that, but there was some more further discussion on that in the chat room when it came up.
That's an important point to raise. Again, and this is good for Robert to hear as well. The Chobra project had a specific delivery metric, which was to address the movement into sanitation or movement up the sanitation ladder for the poorest 2 quintiles. And so perhaps some of these issues can be dealt with in design. Now I would also add, again, reflecting back on Robert's concerns about the financing issue, and I wish Jan Willem had been on the call, because what the Gates Foundation has done with its performance by results or RBF financing is a little bit different, and I wish Jan Willem was here to explain it in more detail, but what they've been doing is they have kind of a base level of performance, and they grant kind of an upfront advance payment and operating cost payment to the grantees, and they set kind of a satisfactory level and an excellent level of performance. And so the grantee is assured of getting a certain amount of financing to carry out their work, and as I understand it, quite a lot of flexibility in carrying out their work and in innovating. So I think there are some solutions, some relatively easy and straightforward solutions, and I think Leonard also alluded to this as well. This doesn't need to be, oh geez, show me 100 ODF villages before we pay you a nickel. I don't think you have to construct the project financing that way, and I think if Jan Willem was here, he would be an advocate for a little bit more flexibility, especially dealing with civil society organizations in an RBF structure. For the participants around the world from many continents, many organizations, apologies again that we didn't have enough time to really poll through all of you and get your questions, but hopefully in the follow-up on the forum we can have more contact with you and learn what some of your questions and experiences are on RBF. But thanks very much to all of our participants for making this possible and a lot of lively discussion. And with that, we'll be signing off, and thanks again, and hope everybody has a good day, evening, or afternoon, wherever you are. Thanks again.